A new survey finds nearly half of Gen X workers are delaying retirement, and more than half expect to pull from retirement savings early just to pay near-term bills. Researchers have formally identified 2024 as the first year in recorded history that women globally had higher fertility rates than men. And rage workouts are now a documented fitness trend, and the science behind using anger as performance fuel is surprisingly solid. Every day the news cycle produces roughly 1,000 stories. About 6 of them are about politics. I went looking for the rest. This is News SideQuest. A new employee financial wellness survey from PwC, one of the largest annual surveys of its kind, covering thousands of full-time workers across the United States, dropped this week with numbers that should land hard for anyone in their 40s and 50s, including me. Nearly 50% of Gen X employees are pushing back their retirement dates, citing stagnant wages, rising everyday costs, and a lack of liquid savings. Only 38% of Gen Xers believe they can retire when they originally planned, and more than half of this demographic expects to withdraw funds from their retirement accounts early to cover short-term costs. Let me put that last number in context. Withdrawing from a retirement account early, before you hit age 59 and a half, typically triggers a 10% penalty on top of income taxes. It's one of the most financially damaging moves a person can make relative to their long-term security. The fact that more than half of Gen Z workers are expecting to do it anyway tells you something about how acute the short-term pressure is. When the choice is between protecting the retirement account and paying the electricity bill, obviously you got to pay the electricity bill. The researchers put it plainly, for employers this isn't a future problem. Financial anxiety during peak career years can affect focus and engagement. It's not a lack of desire. Most employees want stability, confidence, and to feel in control, but many don't feel equipped to actually get there. The phrase peak savings years is worth spending a few minutes on. Gen X, roughly people born between 1965 and 1980, currently in their mid-40s to early 60s, is supposed to be in the stretch where career earnings are highest. Kids are launched or nearly launched, and retirement savings can accelerate. That's the plan that financial advisors have built their entire industry around. The problem is that the housing market, the cost of healthcare, the persistence of inflation, and in many cases, the financial needs of aging parents have consumed the runway that was supposed to produce that acceleration. We're all going to have to come to terms with the idea that retirement just flat out isn't going to look the same for everyone younger than baby boomers. It's not a catastrophic statement, but just a realistic one. What retirement looks like may change. When it happens may change. How much you work in your 60s and 70s may change. The 91-year-old gamer we talked about a couple of weeks ago had 2 jobs well into her later years and seemed genuinely fine. That may be the model from here on out. So what does retirement actually look like in your mind right now? And is that picture different than it was, say, 5 years ago?
I want to make money.
The New York Post ran a piece this week on what fitness researchers and trainers are calling rage workouts, the deliberate use of anger as athletic fuel. And the trend is backed by enough science that I think it deserves more than just a knowing nod. Here's the basic idea. When you're angry, your sympathetic nervous system releases adrenaline and cortisol into the bloodstream. These hormones increase heart rate, push blood flow to major muscle groups, and release glucose for immediate energy use. The classic fight-or-flight response, essentially priming your body for intense physical output. A rage workout channels that primed state into something constructive before the hormones dissipate and leave you just exhausted and irritable. More intense workouts, running, boxing, cycling, slamming a medicine ball, activate this fight or flight response and help burn through the adrenaline and cortisol that anger produces, giving your emotions somewhere to go instead of building up inside of you. As one psychologist and emotional fitness consultant put it, anger and rage are actually really healthy emotions to experience, and we shouldn't suppress them. Also, how does one become a psychologist and emotional fitness consultant? That's one heck of a business card. But there's some nuance here. One study from Iowa State University found that people who hit a punching bag while thinking about the person who made them angry were actually more angry and aggressive afterward than people who used exercise as a distraction by focusing on fitness benefits instead of the source of their rage. The key distinction is what you're directing the anger at. Channeling it into the workout, the reps, the pace, the output, produces the benefit. Replaying the grievance while exercising can actually just flat out make things worse. A Stockholm University study of 3,400 participants found that people who exercised at least twice a week experienced significantly less depression, anger, cynical distrust, and stress than those who didn't. And a study in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that even walking for 10 to 60 minutes significantly reduced anger and hostility. You don't have to be rage sprinting, you just have to move. We all need to lose weight and we're all very angry, so this is an elegant two-bird solution. It's also worth noting that the list of things to be angry about right now is not short. If the choice is between that anger building up inside of you or that anger producing a faster mile sprint, the second option seems better, at least. So what's your specific version of the rage workout? The specific thing you do when you need to burn something off, whether it's a run, a heavy bag, an extremely aggressive kitchen cleaning, or something else entirely?
I'm a rageaholic. I just can't live without Rageahol.
A study published this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most prestigious scientific journals in the world, has identified something that has never been true before in the history of human record keeping. It seems to be happening a lot lately. 2024 was the first year that female global fertility levels exceeded male fertility. Population projections through 2100 indicate that a return to parity is unlikely. So let me explain what this actually means, because the headline sounds more dramatic than the story actually indicates. Fertility rate in this context measures the average number of children a person has. Historically, men's fertility rate has been slightly higher than women's, partly because men can father children over a longer age range, and partly because in some regions, a smaller number of men father a disproportionate number of children, which mathematically raises the male average. The dynamic has now been reversed globally, and the researchers project it will stay reversed. It causes a masculinization of population structures. There are now more men of childbearing age than women in many parts of the world, driven by narrowing gender gaps in mortality, and critically by the historical practice of sex-selective abortion in some cultures that produced an excess of males. When there are more men than women in the reproductive age pool, some men simply won't find partners, which pulls the male average down. The manosphere thing isn't helping. A significant and growing number of research documents that men, particularly younger men, are withdrawing from traditional relationship formation, fatherhood, and civic engagements at elevated rates. The reasons are complicated and the subject of genuine debate, but the demographic consequences totally real. There's a surplus of men in many countries who are not having children, and the surplus is projected to grow. The biological dimension of this story, the documented multi-decade decline in male sperm counts, is also worth spending a little time on. A major 2022 meta-analysis found that sperm concentration declined more than 50% in Western countries between 1973 and 2018, and the rate of decline has accelerated since 2000. The researchers pointed to endocrine-disrupting chemicals in consumer products, diet changes associated with industrialization, and other environmental factors. So what do you think is actually happening to men right now? Biologically, culturally, economically? What's the story you think is being underreported about what's changing for men in your lifetime?
Men, we don't know what we did.
If you've been enjoying the show and want to go deeper, the Side Quest feeds is running our 10-episode Titanic series right now. We're telling the full story, the ship, the night, the people, the aftermath, and each episode has a condensed free version and a full extended cut for paid subscribers. Paid subscribers are what makes it possible to keep building both feeds, And if you want to help keep the content engine humming along, that's the best way to do it. Find Side Quests wherever you get your podcasts or through Substack at newssidequest.substack.com.
I'll never let go. I promise.
Astronomers believe they've detected an atmosphere around a tiny icy world beyond Pluto, using observations that suggest the object has enough gravity and surface activity to hold a thin atmospheric layer. This seems to be the final nail in the coffin of Pluto being considered a planet. If every icy object in the outer solar system is developing an atmosphere and potentially qualifying for planethood, the category becomes meaningless. Sorry, Pluto, the answer is still no.
The cosmic ballet goes on.
A couple in Florida has been charged after burning their neighbor's drone that had drifted onto their property. The drone was filming, which appears to have been the primary provocation. These people probably aren't going to get invited to any neighborhood barbecues anytime soon. There are legal remedies for unwanted drone surveillance, and believe it or not, arson is not among them. Though I do understand the impulse.
Oh, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight.
A dog shot its owner in the back in Missouri after jumping on a shotgun that had been left on the bed. The owner was hospitalized and luckily is expected to recover, so I can joke about it. The most pressing question is why the shotgun was on the bed in the first place. I think the owner bears most of the responsibility for that situation. The dog did not intend to shoot anyone. The dog was just being a dog. It's good to see that Old Yeller got its revenge, though.
Who saw Old Yeller? Who cried when Old Yeller got shot at the end? Nobody cried when Old Yeller got shot, I'm sure. I cried my eyes out.
Authorities in Armenia are responding to reports of an escaped zebra, only to discover it was a painted donkey from a local zoo. The donkey was indeed escaped, which is worthy of acknowledgement. The stripes, however, were decorative. I have nothing to add to this.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much.
That's it for today's new side quest. 3 questions out there for you. What retirement actually looks like in your head right now compared to 5 years ago. What your specific rage workout is, and what you think is happening to men right now that isn't being talked about enough. Email me at newsidequest@gmail.com or hit me up in the comments. See you tomorrow.